I picked the
Do
dress.
the groom. Did you really?
I picked the dress.
No, we didn't.
And we went to Lisa's bridal, and Robin and I went and looked at dresses, and she picked one out, and I was like, holy cow, it's like I'd seen it in my dreams, you know?
Thanks, that's just nice to do.
I think it's important. I don't think that it's fair that I not be involved in it.
You went as the groom ever involved with the wedding dress. Like you cared what I wore at all on our wedding.
Something feels off in the Brown household. You can see it in every scene where Cody and Robin share a couch. The spark they once bragged about has dimmed into something uncomfortable, even awkward. Their eyes rarely meet. Their laughter sounds forced. And somehow, every moment that's supposed to show love ends up looking like two people trying too hard to convince everyone, including themselves, that they're still happy. Cody calls Robin his battle buddy, but it doesn't sound romantic. It sounds like two exhausted soldiers trapped in the same foxhole, waiting for the next emotional grenade to go off. I'm Sarah from TLC's Sister Wives Daily. Welcome, friends. If you're new here, hit subscribe and drop a comment because I want to know if you're seeing the same cracks I am. Fans have been watching this strange shift all season, and it's impossible to ignore. This is supposed to be the big monogamy era, right? After years of drama, divorces, and heartbreak, Cody finally has one wife left, Robin. The one he claimed was his true partner, the woman who stood by him when everyone else walked away. But now, it's clear the fairy tale is falling apart. The more Cody tries to show off their happiness, the more miserable they look. In a recent episode, Cody and Robin talked about how their kids keep coming into their bedroom at night. Cody joked that it's ruining their intimacy. Robin's face said everything. She didn't even try to fake a smile. You could feel her discomfort through the screen. Cody tried to turn it into humor, saying he wanted to make it sound like he was the one keeping her up, not the kids. But Robin's tone was flat. Her eyes didn't move toward him. The warmth was gone. It's wild because this used to be the couple who couldn't stop holding hands in front of the others. Now, they sit side by side, barely looking like they want to be in the same room. Their conversations feel transactional. Even the small talk is heavy. It's like Cody keeps throwing love confessions into the air, and Robin just lets them drop without catching any. And that phrase, battle buddies, keeps coming up. Twice this season already. Once during the move, and again during that awkward bedroom conversation. It's supposed to sound like teamwork, but honestly, it sounds more like survival. Two people trying to coexist, not connect. Whatever this is, it doesn't look like romance. It looks like damage control dressed up as devotion. The footage says more than either of them ever could. It opens with Cody and Robin sitting side by side, trying to share a quiet moment, but their body language does all the talking. Cody leans forward, over-explaining every thought like he's auditioning for the role of happy husband. Robin stays still, eyes lowered, nodding just enough to appear polite. There's no warmth, no spark, just a sense that both of them are performing for the cameras instead of living in their reality. Then comes the line fans can't stop replaying. Cody calls Robin his battle buddy. Again. It's the second time this season. The first time was when they were moving. Cody, sweaty and self-congratulatory, told the cameras that he and Robin were like battle buddies, as if packing boxes together proved they were soulmates. Now, he's using the same phrase to describe how they handle parenting. You can almost feel him reaching for something, anything, to make their relationship sound meaningful. But calling your wife a battle buddy? It doesn't sound loving. It sounds like he's describing a coworker, not a partner. In the new scene, the two of them sit down to talk about how the kids always come into their bedroom at night. Cody tries to spin it into something cute, but it lands like a brick. He says the kids come in, one after another, just looking for a little love, a little attention. Robin adds quietly that she doesn't get much sleep. Cody grins and jokes, "Maybe it's me keeping you up, not the kids." He's going for flirty, but Robin's reaction kills the moment. She doesn't even look at him. Her response is half-hearted. "That'd be better, actually." And then she glances away. No smile, no laughter, just exhaustion. It's the kind of silence that tells the truth louder than any words. Robin looks uncomfortable, almost trapped in the conversation. She shifts in her seat, her eyes flicking to the floor instead of to Cody. And for anyone who's watched Sister Wives long enough, that's a dramatic change. This is the same woman who used to beam at him across crowded living rooms, who clung to every glance. Now she can barely meet his eyes. Meanwhile, Cody keeps talking like he's trying to convince someone, maybe himself, that everything's fine. He mentions how happy he is being a monogamous man, how much he enjoys this new chapter, but every sentence feels rehearsed. His tone has that forced enthusiasm we've all heard before. Like when someone insists they're totally fine after their life just fell apart. It's not joy, it's damage control. And that whole open bedroom door situation? It's unsettling. Cody says the door's literally always open, and that the kids just keep walking in. He sounds annoyed, but also oddly detached. Robin looks like she's trying not to react. She agrees, saying the kids come in for hugs and attention, but the way she says it makes it sound less like sweet family chaos and more like a nightly invasion. The conversation should have ended there, but Cody keeps pushing, trying to twist it into something romantic. He laughs, throws out another suggestive line, and once again, Robin shuts it down with silence. You can almost see the wall between them grow taller with each exchange. Watching it, you can't help but feel a little uncomfortable, not because of what's said, but because of what's missing. There's no playfulness, no connection, no shared humor. It's as if Cody's talking to the cameras more than to Robin, desperate to sell an image that doesn't match the reality unfolding right next to him. Fans online noticed it too. Comment sections filled up fast, people saying how tense it all felt, how Robin looked checked out, how Cody seemed more interested in appearances than intimacy. And they're right. This isn't about one awkward scene or a bad day. It's about the quiet breakdown happening in plain sight. When you look past the jokes and the awkward laughter, what's really there is distance. Emotional distance so thick it practically hums through the screen. Cody's still performing the part of the confident husband, but Robin's done pretending to be his audience. Every glance, every sigh, every moment of silence points to the same truth. This isn't partnership anymore. It's routine. And what makes it harder to watch is that the signs aren't hidden. They're right there, in every battle buddy comment, every forced smile, every scene where love has been replaced by obligation. The footage doesn't lie. It captures a marriage running on fumes. Two people sitting side by side but living entirely separate emotional lives. And as the season unfolds, it's becoming painfully clear that this isn't just a rough patch. It's the fallout from years of pretending. If there's one thing the Sister Wives cameras have taught us over the years, it's that Cody Brown doesn't just want attention, he needs it. Every season, every talking head interview, every dramatic family meeting has revolved around Cody's need to be seen, to be understood, and most importantly, to be admired. It's not malicious in the traditional sense, it's psychological, almost reflexive. He thrives on validation the way most people thrive on air. Back in the polygamy days, that need had a place to live. With multiple wives, Cody's world was an endless carousel of emotional energy. There was always someone new to impress, another dynamic to manage, another argument to win or soften with charm. He didn't have to sustain intimacy. He could bounce from house to house, soaking up affection, frustration, even jealousy, and converting it all into fuel. The competition between his wives wasn't an unfortunate byproduct. It was part of his rhythm. It kept him alive inside the chaos. You could see it most clearly during those mid-series seasons when Christine and Janelle started pulling away. Cody would oscillate between righteous anger and teary self-pity, but underneath both emotions sat the same craving: notice me. Whether they were adoring him or rejecting him didn't matter. What mattered was that he remained the center of their emotional universe. Now, in monogamy, that entire system has collapsed. The attention supply is gone. There's only Robin, and she isn't giving him what he needs, not because she's cruel or detached, but because she's exhausted. In the new footage, that dynamic practically glows under the studio lights. Cody smiles too wide, laughs too loud, and repeats his own talking points like a man desperate to convince himself of something. He keeps saying how peaceful life is, how centered he feels, how he's so happy being monogamous. But every word comes wrapped in tension. He's overcompensating. This isn't joy. It's a salesman selling a product he doesn't believe in anymore. When he calls Robin his battle buddy, that phrase isn't romantic. It's revealing. It's the language of someone who views partnership as performance and struggle as connection. In Cody's world, love is measured by loyalty, not intimacy. If you stand by him, defend him, or worship him, you're good. If you question him, distance yourself, or expect emotional reciprocity, you're disloyal. That mindset made sense in the hierarchy of polygamy. It kept him in charge, the hub of the family wheel. But in monogamy, it backfires. There's no competition left to manage, no emotional drama to direct, just Robin. And without other wives orbiting him, Cody's sense of purpose seems to have thinned out. He tries to rebuild that dynamic by turning every interaction into a stage. Watch the teaser closely. When he teases Robin about the kids coming into the bedroom, he's not trying to flirt. He's trying to provoke a reaction, to feel something spark again. When she doesn't bite, you can almost see the disappointment flicker across his face. That's the core of Cody's behavior pattern. He's not chasing love, he's chasing engagement. He needs his partner to mirror his energy back to him. When Robin doesn't, when she sits quiet, eyes down, detached, he doubles down, trying harder to extract validation. This isn't new. In earlier seasons, we saw the same cycle play out with Christine. When she stopped feeding his ego, he labeled her disloyal. When Mary withdrew, he called her cold. And when Janelle began asserting her independence, he rewrote the narrative to cast himself as the misunderstood victim. Cody doesn't know how to function without emotional conflict or admiration. Both serve the same purpose, keeping him relevant. What's different now is that the audience can see the gap. The more he insists that he's happy, the more obvious it becomes that something's missing. He has all the control he used to crave. One wife, one house, one story, but none of the energy that used to sustain him. Monogamy has given him what he said he wanted, but not what he actually needs. And that's where Robin's dilemma begins. Because she's not built to compete for his attention. She never was. In the early seasons, her favorite wife status wasn't about winning, it was about safety. She played peacemaker, comforter, the one who soothed his ego and softened the blow of family chaos. But now she's the only one left to manage his moods, fill his silences, and bear the weight of all his unmet expectations. It's not just exhausting, it's unsustainable. You can sense her pulling back in these new scenes, not with anger, but with quiet fatigue. Her eyes don't track him the way they used to. Her voice softens into something almost apologetic. She's no longer performing love. She's enduring obligation. From a distance, it's easy to label Cody's personality as narcissistic or self-centered. But the truth feels sadder. He's a man built for constant affirmation, trapped in a relationship structure that no longer gives it to him. He spent decades defining himself through the reactions of others, wives, kids, fans, and now, with only one audience left, the applause has stopped. And that's why monogamy feels like a poor fit. It demands depth instead of drama, patience instead of performance. But Cody's emotional muscles were trained for a different sport. Without the chaos of competition, his need for attention turns inward, toward control, frustration, and denial. And for Robin, who's already stretched thin, that shift might be the quiet breaking point that no one, not even she, knows how to fix yet. If Cody's scenes hum with overcompensation, Robin's hum with silence. In the new footage, she barely speaks, and when she does, her tone is soft. Too soft, almost apologetic. She looks down more than she looks at him. Her body language tells the story her words won't. The quiet recoil, the slight lean away, the forced smile that flickers and dies too soon. It's the visual version of the ick. Viewers have felt it instantly, that discomfort you can't fake. She's not angry, not even visibly resentful. She just looks done. That detachment is shocking coming from Robin, the wife who once embodied adoration. When she entered the family years ago, she practically radiated reverence for Cody. Her voice would lift when she said his name. She defended him in every argument, framed every sacrifice as love, and wore her loyalty like a badge. Now, all that sparkle has drained away. Her shyness has shifted into something that looks more like withdrawal. In interviews, she still performs humility, the lowered eyes, the hesitant tone, but it reads as muscle memory, not sincerity. It's the performance of a woman who knows the role she's supposed to play, but no longer believes in the script. And yet, walking away doesn't seem like an option. Robin's life is built around the sister wives' world, financially, socially, and structurally. She's the only legal wife Cody ever had, which means their shared assets, including the $2 million Flagstaff mansion, are tied to her name and security. That home, with its vaulted ceilings, ornate staircase, and carefully curated decor, isn't just a backdrop. It's a symbol of how deeply embedded she is in the lifestyle. The furniture, the collectibles, the themed art that fans spot in the background of every scene. They're more than just luxury items. They're anchors. They represent years of building a public identity on camera, an identity that pays the bills. Because the truth is, the Sister Wives franchise is their livelihood. Every confessional, every filmed dinner, every strained conversation contributes to the paycheck that sustains their household. And Robin knows it. Her subdued behavior on camera feels like someone trying to balance two conflicting realities, one emotional, one financial. She may not want to play the happy wife role anymore, but not playing it risks everything. Fans have noticed that when Cody starts his enthusiastic monologues about being so happy or so in love, Robin often just nods faintly, her lips pressed together. It's not defiance, but resignation. You can almost see her thinking, just get through the scene. Her eyes rarely light up. Her laughter, once bright, now sounds practiced, a mechanical sound made for the cameras. It's the face of someone who feels cornered by the very life she helped construct. She's also caught in an emotional double bind. As Cody's legal wife, she's tied to his choices, both publicly and privately. If she questions him too openly, she risks losing the stability she's built, not just the financial security, but the image of being the chosen one, the one he stayed for. Yet staying means living in a story that no longer feels real. She's watching the man she once adored turn their relationship into a performance for viewers, while she quietly fades into the background. What's striking is how she holds herself in those moments of discomfort, chin tucked, eyes darting down, voice barely above a whisper. She's the physical embodiment of retreat. Even when Cody teases her or pushes for intimacy, she doesn't confront or argue. She absorbs it, then deflects. To the audience, it reads as fear mixed with fatigue, the exhaustion of someone who's carrying the emotional load for both of them while still playing nice for the cameras. And that's where the empathy kicks in. Robin may look detached, but she's also trapped in a web of her own making. The home, the fame, the show, the legal wife title. All of it once meant safety and validation. Now, it feels like a cage disguised as comfort. Leaving would mean dismantling not just her marriage, but the entire world she's lived in for over a decade. Still, that doesn't make her immune to the emotional toll. Every flat expression, every forced giggle, every downcast glance adds up to one unmistakable truth. She's tired. Tired of managing Cody's moods, tired of defending his image, tired of being the last one standing in a marriage that's slowly suffocating under its own history. And perhaps most heartbreaking of all, there are the kids. The same ones who keep walking into the open bedroom at night, searching for connection and attention. They're growing up in a house where emotional tension replaces affection, where silence is safer than honesty. Robin's exhaustion doesn't just belong to her anymore. It's shaping their family dynamic, seeping into the next generation. Because when parents live on autopilot, children learn to tiptoe. And as Cody and Robin's distance deepens, that shared parenting space, the late nights, the open doors, the blurred boundaries, becomes the one arena where their unresolved emotions still collide. The marriage may be quiet now, but inside that silence, the cost of keeping it all together is becoming impossible to ignore. One of the most unsettling parts of the new footage doesn't come from Cody's speeches or Robin's expressions. It comes from what happens quietly in the background. The repeated image of their kids walking in and out of the bedroom, late at night, like it's an open living space, has stuck with everyone who watched. The way Cody described it, almost proudly, made it even more jarring. He framed it like a badge of closeness, a sign that their family is so tight-knit that even the private areas of the home are shared. But to viewers, and honestly, to anyone who's raised children, it didn't read that way. It looked like the boundary between parent and child had vanished completely, replaced by a kind of emotional codependence that no one inside the house seems to recognize. At the time of filming, Ari was around 9, Saul roughly 13, Aurora 22, and Brianna about 20 or 21. These aren't toddlers wandering in for a goodnight hug. These are kids and young adults at very different stages of life, each needing structure, privacy, and independence. Yet the scenes show a family orbiting around constant access to each other, with Cody and Robin presenting it as wholesome. In reality, it feels like another symptom of what's breaking them apart. No one in that house seems to have emotional boundaries. The dynamic plays out in small, unsettling ways. Robin mentions that the kids just come in, as if it's a nightly routine. Cody laughs it off, saying it keeps the family close. But watch the scene closely. Robin doesn't laugh. She gives a faint smile that doesn't reach her eyes. That's the reaction of a woman who knows this isn't normal but doesn't have the energy to say it out loud. Viewers noticed how her shoulders tightened and how she avoided looking at Cody when he called it sweet. It's as if she wanted to disappear for a second. There's an emotional arrest happening here, not in the kids, but in Cody. He seems to be using his children's presence as emotional padding, filling the void that adult intimacy no longer provides. It's the same pattern fans have seen for years. When Cody feels rejected or criticized, he leans harder into whoever will adore him unconditionally. In past seasons, that used to be one of the wives, Christine, Janelle, even Mary at one point. Now that he has only Robin left, the emotional attention has shifted to the kids. And because Robin doesn't push back, the pattern continues unchecked. That's what makes this detail more than just awkward. It speaks to a deeper dysfunction in the household. When parents use their children for emotional comfort, even unintentionally, it blurs the roles that keep a family healthy. Kids learn that their parents' happiness depends on them, that walking into a bedroom or staying close isn't about love, but about stabilizing the parents' emotions. Over time, that breeds anxiety, guilt, and confusion, especially for kids like Saul and Ari, who are still young enough to absorb those patterns as normal. The show doesn't frame it as concerning, but the body language does. Cody's face lights up when the kids interrupt him, as if it's proof that he's needed. Robin stays quiet, but her stillness is heavy. You can almost see her calculating how to keep the peace, not wanting to confront Cody on camera, not wanting to embarrass him, but clearly uneasy about what it means for their family dynamic. It's a silence that says more than words ever could. For the older daughters, Aurora and Brianna, the dynamic is different but equally tangled. They're in their 20s, yet still portrayed in almost childlike proximity to their parents. Aurora has spoken before about how protective she feels toward her mother, often stepping into emotional caretaker mode. It's endearing on the surface, but it's also another sign of the family's reversed emotional flow, the kids tending to the parents instead of the other way around. When you piece all of this together, the constant intrusions, the lack of privacy, the emotional crossover between parent and child, it paints a picture of a household that never truly transitioned out of crisis mode. The open bedroom isn't about warmth or connection. It's a metaphor for Cody and Robin's inability to define where one relationship ends and another begins. Everyone in that home is serving as a buffer for someone else's unmet needs. What's especially painful is that these choices echo the same patterns Cody carried from polygamy into monogamy. In the plural marriage, his emotional attention was always split and unstable, so the wives and children learned to adjust around his moods. Now, in a single household, that same instability is condensed, concentrated in one space, one family unit. The need for attention, validation, and control hasn't disappeared. It's just been repackaged as closeness. And while the show frames it with music and soft lighting, viewers can feel the undercurrent. This isn't about affection. It's about Cody trying to recreate the emotional noise that once surrounded him in polygamy. The constant motion, the constant attention. Without it, he feels empty. And in that emptiness, the boundaries collapse. This pattern, left unchecked, doesn't just threaten the marriage. It affects how every child learns to navigate relationships, privacy, and trust. What looks like family bonding on camera could, over time, shape a generation that equates love with control and access. And that's the real heartbreak of these scenes. Not just what they reveal about Cody and Robin's marriage, but what they predict for the family's emotional future. From here, the story isn't just about two adults struggling to connect. It's about how the polygamous power structure, the system that shaped them both, keeps rewriting itself inside their supposedly monogamous home. To understand how Cody and Robin ended up here, sharing a cold, silent marriage framed as monogamy, you have to rewind through the entire architecture of the Brown family's polygamous life. For years, their world ran on a kind of emotional economy, where affection, attention, and access to Cody were the most valuable currencies. Every wife competed, whether she admitted it or not, and Cody thrived in that structure. He was the center of multiple orbits, constantly admired, constantly needed. That dynamic didn't just shape his identity, it became his emotional fuel. And when that system finally collapsed, he didn't know how to live without it. In the early seasons of Sister Wives, viewers could see it play out like clockwork. Cody bounced between households, trying to balance loyalty and favoritism, performing fairness while clearly having favorites. Christine often called him out for emotional neglect. Janelle stayed pragmatic and detached. Mary longed for connection he no longer gave. And Robin, the newest wife, entered as a breath of validation. She adored him openly, defended him endlessly, and made him feel wanted in a way the others no longer did. Their courtship reignited his sense of power. He wasn't just a husband, he was the prize. That's the key to understanding why his current marriage feels hollow. Polygamy trained Cody to believe that attention equals worth. He built his emotional rhythm around competition, the idea that if one wife was upset, another might be pleased. There was always someone to praise him, someone to chase. It's not love as much as it is stimulus, and it kept him emotionally alive. But monogamy offers none of that. When the other wives left, Mary through heartbreak, Janelle through exhaustion, and Christine through courage, the game ended. What was left was silence, and silence terrifies him. That's why in season 20, his smiles look forced and his language sounds exaggerated. He keeps insisting he's so happy, so fulfilled, and at peace. It's the same energy he used in the polygamous years when he'd try to convince everyone, including himself, that the system still worked. But back then, the chaos gave him purpose. He had 4 relationships to manage, 4 emotional climates to dominate. Now there's only one, and Robin's not playing along anymore. For Robin, the story runs parallel but in reverse. She came from monogamy into polygamy, chasing belonging after her first marriage ended. The early seasons showed how deeply she wanted to fit in, how she cried when the other wives felt threatened, how she constantly reassured them she wasn't trying to replace anyone. But her connection with Cody was too strong, too obvious. She became the emotional favorite, and the rest of the family felt it. That favoritism turned into resentment. Christine felt invisible. Mary felt discarded. Janelle checked out. The fractures widened until the entire system imploded. When the others left, Robin didn't just lose sister wives. She lost the social scaffolding that made her role make sense. In polygamy, her identity was the loyal one, the peacemaker, the balance. In monogamy, she became the only target for Cody's attention and his frustration. The competition that once protected her vanished, leaving her exposed. You can see it in her posture now, the hesitation, the constant effort to stay agreeable. It's the behavior of someone trying to survive inside a system that no longer supports her. The irony is that both of them were shaped by the same structure they now claim to have outgrown. Cody's authority was built on scarcity, the idea that his time and affection were limited, so whoever received them should be grateful. Robin's security was built on proximity to that authority, being the wife who pleased him most. When the other wives left, those dynamics didn't disappear, they just turned inward. Cody still craves the adoration he used to get in rotation, and Robin still measures her worth through his approval. But now, there's no buffer, no distraction, no one else to absorb the tension. The result is what we see on screen. A marriage that feels like an echo chamber of old habits. Cody overperforms his happiness, trying to recreate the energy of being desired by multiple women. Robin retreats, performing docility to keep things from collapsing completely. The same imbalance that once played out across 4 households now lives in one, magnified, claustrophobic, and unsustainable. Past events on Sister Wives have already shown how this pattern ends. When Mary was no longer the favored wife, she withdrew into isolation, leading to the catfishing scandal that exposed how lonely she'd become. When Christine realized she'd never be Cody's emotional equal, she walked away, finally reclaiming her self-worth. Each of these women hit the same wall. Cody's version of love depends on admiration, not partnership. And now Robin has reached that same point, except she can't just leave. She's legally tied, financially dependent, and emotionally worn down. The show's long history makes their current story feel inevitable. Polygamy conditioned everyone in the Brown family to prioritize Cody's emotional satisfaction above all else. When the wives stopped feeding that need, the structure crumbled. But instead of rebuilding something healthier, Cody and Robin tried to salvage the illusion, to rebrand old control as new devotion. That's why their scenes feel both sad and familiar. They're not starting fresh. They're reenacting the final phase of polygamy inside a 2-person marriage. As the cameras keep rolling, the tension between past and present becomes harder to hide. Every forced smile, every awkward moment, every open bedroom scene is a reminder of what happens when a system built on imbalance tries to survive without change. And for Cody and Robin, it may already be too late. Because the habits forged in decades of plural marriage don't just vanish when the rings come off. They linger, shaping every glance, every silence, every empty declaration of happiness that no one, not even them, believes anymore. Watching season 20 unfold, it's hard to escape the feeling that Cody and Robin are performing a love story they no longer believe in. The camera doesn't lie. Not when it captures the absence of touch, the distance in their eyes, or the way their laughter cuts short before turning into silence. Their words say one thing, but their bodies keep telling another story. This isn't a couple settling comfortably into monogamy. It's 2 people trapped inside the image of what they think happiness should look like. The footage speaks for itself. Cody keeps insisting that everything is perfect, that he's never been happier, that the family is finally peaceful. But that insistence feels like someone shouting into an empty room, hoping the echo sounds like applause. You can sense he misses the chaos, the audience, the rotation of affection that used to make him feel significant. Without it, he's restless. That restlessness shows in every exaggerated declaration, every awkward attempt at romance. Robin doesn't even pretend to play along anymore. Her smile barely flickers, her tone stays flat, her eyes are somewhere else. She looks exhausted, not angry, just deeply tired of trying to make something feel real when it clearly isn't. The truth is, this so-called monogamous chapter has exposed everything Cody once used polygamy to hide. In plural marriage, his emotional flaws could be spread thin across 4 relationships. No one woman had to carry the full weight of his insecurity or need for control. But now, all that pressure lands squarely on Robin, and she's cracking under it. What used to make her feel special being the one wife who had his loyalty, now feels like confinement. If the pattern continues, what we're seeing isn't the beginning of a romantic redemption story. It's the slow unraveling of two people bound by habit, fear, and reputation. Robin may stay, legally and publicly, because walking away means losing not just a husband, but a lifestyle, a home, and a safety net. But emotionally, she's already gone. You can see it in the way she doesn't reach back when Cody tries to connect. You can hear it in the silence between their sentences. This season, Sister Wives isn't showing a love story. It's showing the aftermath of one. The battle buddies line sums it up perfectly. They aren't partners in love, they're partners in survival, still fighting to protect an image that's already crumbled. The intimacy is gone, the teamwork feels mechanical, and the affection has been replaced with obligation. Monogamy for them was never the cure. It was the mask. And now that mask is slipping in front of millions of viewers who can see exactly what they refuse to say out loud. This marriage isn't built on connection anymore. It's built on performance. So what happens next? Maybe they'll keep pretending, at least until the cameras stop. Maybe they'll drift further apart, living separate emotional lives under the same roof. Or maybe, eventually, one of them will admit that pretending to be happy has become too heavy to carry. Whatever comes, the message is clear. Real love can't survive inside a performance. And fans can see the truth, no matter how carefully it's staged. If you've been watching, I want to hear from you. Do you think Cody and Robin are holding on out of love, or just fear of what comes after? Let me know your thoughts below. And if you want to keep unpacking the reality behind Sister Wives, hit subscribe and stay with me here on TLC's Sister Wives Daily. This story isn't over, not by a long shot.